Well, I started playing when I was a teeny little girl. My mom taught me how to play piano by sitting me in her lap, showing me how to play when I was 4 or 5 years old. And I also was singing in the church choir from the time I was really little and doing musicals and stuff like that. And it wasn't like I had an insanely musical family, but I was obsessed with my mom's record collection. So after school, I would just sort of like communicate with the record collection. There's the Beatles and the Beach Boys, and you know, my mom wasn't very experimental. It was like the Beatles, the Beach Boys, the Doors, Fleetwood Mac, the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, some classical albums, and I was obsessed with the record album artwork. Like I would just spend hours like looking at the artwork and listening to the records, and that was sort of like my early musical education. It was very solitary actually, which was interesting and probably kind of telling. And from there, I started improvising on piano, and I started writing songs when I was really little. And I think I decided when I was still maybe, 10, 11, 12 years old, that that's what I wanted to do. I decided I wanted to be a songwriter. That's what I was going to do. It was going to be my job. My sister wanted to be an astronaut. And I never really gave up on that. I mean, I really, like, as I grew older and I became a teenager, I just had this single-minded, fundamental idea that that's what I was going to do. It was just, there was no question about it. I didn't really have a plan B. And that was it. I screwed around during college, and I was a street performer for a long time, and then I met Brian and started the Dresden Dolls when I was about 25. And that's what I've been doing for the past 8 years. Till the solo record.
Can you tell us a bit about your new album and what it was like working with Ben Folds?
Ben Folds was brilliant. He's a brilliant songwriter, first of all, by himself. He's an amazing arranger. He's got a really, really good ear, and he was wonderfully generous to work with. He didn't really work from his ego. You could just tell he listened to the songs. He decided which songs he wanted on the record with me. And then he fully produced the ones that he gravitated towards. So like Astronaut and Guitar Hero and a couple of other songs on the record were just all Ben. Like Ben thought of every instrument. Ben played almost every instrument. And he really had a vision for those songs. And then some of the other songs on the record that were just strings I produced with a little bit of help from Ben. But it was great because it was sort of like working with a friend. He wasn't patronizing or anything. It would have been really easy for Ben to do that sort of like, listen kid, I've been around the block, I've been doing this for 12 years longer than you, and I play piano too, and you're doing this all wrong. Like he respected what my talents were, and he was really good about staying on the level with me, and it was great working with him.
Can you tell us a little bit about your new album, and is it a Twin Peaks reference?
It's definitely a Twin Peaks reference. I used to get Laura Palmer all the time when I told people my name, so I decided I'd finally take the joke and run with it.
What do you think about the rock scene in England?
The rock scene in England, I think, well, it's having not lived here, but only I mean, my biggest exposure here has been my own shows and the shows, the few shows that I've gone to. One thing I've noticed about the UK in general is that people's overall enthusiasm for music is much more passionate than it is in the States, especially at live shows. People are not afraid to go to shows and freak out. And in the States, it takes a lot more to get people to do that. Even if it's a band that they're passionate about and they love, like, people will still go to shows and just sort of like, it's my favorite band. They'll just sort of stand there. They won't really get into it. And people in the UK are just, music seems to be more like a part of like especially rock. It's like this fundamental, like, it's almost like a religion. Like it's part of the landscape. And in the States, it's not quite that way. Like you don't walk into a store ever and like actually hear good music. And that does happen here. It's always miraculous when you walk into a drugstore and they're like, playing The Cure, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm in heaven. Instead of elevator music.
Have you performed in Birmingham before?
Yeah, the Dresden Dolls performed in Birmingham it was on the Yes Virginia tour, so it's probably about 2 or 3 years ago. If I recall, someone fainted at the show, which was really exciting. She passed out in the front row and had to be carried back.
What do you think about Birmingham so far?
I haven't seen much of Birmingham. I've seen the part of Birmingham that's in between where my tour bus is and where this place is. But I really like the giant building that looks like a big piece of bubble wrap.
Oh, the Bullring.
It's pretty exciting. I wanted to lick it.
We have a lot of music students here at NBC. What would be your advice to them?
What would be my advice to the music students?
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's a big question. You know, when songwriters and sort of up-and-coming musicians come up to me and ask me that, which I always find really disorienting, like, what's your one piece of advice for me? It's like, good God. I think for songwriters specifically, I usually tell songwriters to make sure that you let yourself write bad songs. It's really important that you let yourself suck in order to improve. I think that's the one thing that I learned from all the songwriting that I did, is that allowing yourself to write a lot of bad songs is actually really healthy, and that you shouldn't be afraid to do it. You shouldn't be afraid to finish your bad songs. And for musicians in general and people who want to get into the industry, I think you have to really examine like the fundamental reasons for why you want to do it. And if you want to do it for the right reasons, which it really can't be about fame and money. You'll end up really unhappy and you'll be screwed anyway. If you're really in it for the right reasons, the best thing you can do is kind of make sure that you don't have a fallback plan. That you're not sort of constantly juggling like, oh, well, I'll kind of do my art, but I'll also work on this thing because if this doesn't work out, then I'll do this. Because I've found that when people do that, they never are able to fully put themselves on the line and take the risks that they have to take for their work. So you need to be able to commit, at least for a couple of years, to like, I'm really going to do this. It doesn't matter if I starve. It doesn't matter if I can't socialize and I can't go out and drink because I don't have any money. I'm just going to do this. And that's usually what you have to do to get over the hump and make whatever thing it is that you're trying to make work. And a lot of people don't want to do that. And those are probably the people who shouldn't be doing it. Because if you're satisfied enough to kind of do music on the side or do whatever, then it's, I think it's probably best to just keep it that way. But if you really want to passionately, like, do that thing, suffer, tour, deal, like, it's really, like, it's not, even at the upper levels, it's a really hard lifestyle. You have to want to do it so badly that you're willing to deal with all that other crap. And it's really, it sucks to see people getting disappointed when they actually think that, you know, if they get signed to a record label or they achieve some degree of success, that all of a sudden life's going to be really easy and fun and romantic, because it almost never gets to that place. You have to love the thing itself. You have to love the part of the process that's hard. Otherwise, it's not really worth it, doing it at all.